Hello, everybody. Welcome to a brand new episode of Unlearn series. In fact, today our podcast series matures into the 13th session. And today it also gives me great pleasure to welcome someone who I believe is a true beacon in the domain of learning and development in our country. Mr. Mayuk Dasgupta, who's Head Alliances and Digital Technical Training at Hindalco Technical University at Hindalco Industries Limited, a management researcher and a practitioner with more than 2 decades of industry experience in the field of HR outsourcing, digital marketplaces, vocational training, and skill development. He has worked extensively across the Indian subcontinent, managed national and regional P&L roles with large cross-functional teams and wide range of customers from multiple industries. And today we're going to be talking about a very exciting topic, which Mayuk has interesting insights about how L&D holds the key towards this mega transition of the Indian manufacturing companies into Industry 4.0. So welcome, Mayuk, to our 13th edition of the Unlearn HR series.
Thank you so much. And it's really inspiring to hear that you have 13th session.
Yeah.
Great. I was not aware of these, but this is really great.
Sure.
And I think this is a super work. You're connecting industry with the entire fraternity of learning. And such sessions will definitely be beneficial, I hope. So,
And 13 is my lucky number, so I'm really looking forward to this.
not really. It's fine. It's same with me also. Yeah.
So, just jumping right into it, I have a few questions, and let's start off with the question about what do you think, and it's a broad question, right? What do you think is the role of learning and development for helping in transition from Industry 3.0 to Industry 4.0? What would be the responsibility of an L&D department, an L&D leader like yourself?
Okay, fine. It's a good question, but let me tell you, Industry 4.0 is already happening. It has already happened, in fact, in some part of the world. And now people are talking about Industry 4.5. I'm talking about the developed nations, like US and some parts of Southeast Asia and Europe. They're already talking about 4.5. Although, yes, in India, the bandwagon has already started.
Yeah.
Last 5 years, I am hearing a lot on Industry 4.0. But let me give you a background. See, the Industrial Revolution started, long back, more than 200 years back. Of course, it started with the steam engine. The first one was talking about steam engine and, mechanical production. Okay. So that has happened, and it was the first era of Industrial Revolution. And then it moved to the second Industrial Revolution, which was the time of science and technology and mass production. I remember one of the dialogues of Henry Ford saying, sail as long as it is black. So that's the way, mass production concept was there. The world wars. Then it came with the digital revolution. We all know the 90s. Of course, India have a phenomenal contribution to the digital revolution across the world. We have seen all the giants coming and setting up shops in India. And of course, India is the destination for digital because of our intellectual capital and the knowledge we have in the domain. Today's era is all about automation, which is the fourth industrial revolution, digitization, and taking it to the next level of automation, which was envisaged 50 to 70 years back when the industry started. So, to answer your question, learning's role is, it's really very important, because see, any industrial revolution cannot survive or did not survive without the role of training, without the role of learning. And since people have learned and developed the concepts and the productions, they moved from one industrial revolution to the next. And this quest for knowledge will not end. This is perpetual. So role of learning and development is very crucial, not only to bring the latest technologies and latest learning tools and methodologies to individuals, but also I think the most important part is how you can make it practice, how you can implement. Without learning, nothing can get implemented. That is very, inevitable. And learning and development's role is crucial, because here we are talking about, unlearning and relearning, because you have to unlearn a lot of things we used to do and then move into the next era of relearn and new learning. So obviously there the role is not only about talking about learning tools, learning techniques. It is also about change management.
Right.
Okay, it's a behavioral science topic, and it's change management, because without change management in place, you will not have acceptance. You will have a lot of resistance in the, across the layers of the organization. Not only we always hear about change management at down, but it is also at the up, because if the leader is not convinced, if your leadership and management is not convinced that this is important, this is the future, you can't make a change successful. And learning and development's role is across the organization. I will talk about horizontal, I will talk about vertical. Across the organization, learning and development role is very important, because they are the torch bearers, they are the harbingers of growth. They will bring in the change in the organization through continuous effort on learning. So to answer your question, Omkar, this is really important for organizations to really focus on learning and development. And that's why today you will find learning and development has become a very crucial role in HR.
Yeah.
Till the third industrial revolution, it was all about IR, personnel management.
Yeah.
And then it's metamorphosed to HR, HRD, human resource development, and then human resource management. And today, in the entire pillars of HRD or HRM, you will find L&D is very crucial. That's why most of the large organizations have a separate L&D function.
Yeah.
Some have a behavioral training focus, some have a technical training focus. So I think that importance is there in the Indian context. Yeah. And yes, to drive this, definitely L&D is required. And as I mentioned to you, this is a process. This is not a one-time intervention. This is an ongoing process.
This is very, very interesting. I really like the word metamorphosis, right? The entire domain, the entire department has started metamorphizing itself to adjust to the needs of Industry 4.0. Across all this, and I'm really glad that you painted such a nice landscape about the whole industry actually moving towards 4.0. What do you think is the biggest challenge as an L&D leader you will be facing in this transition?
Yeah, so I think that, as I've told you, there are two challenges. One is, across the organization, you have to handle different type of stakeholders. So your major stakeholder is your top management, your leadership, the management, the guy, the person, the people who actually drive the organization. You have to convince them first.
Yeah.
Okay. So, in Indian context, if you see, 97% of the industry is all MSME.
Yeah.
Okay. That's a large chunk. Okay. More than 95% of the workforce is in the unorganized sector, 90% of the unorganized sector. So that's the biggest challenge. But if you talk about the organized industries, convincing the leader, convincing the entrepreneur that this is the future. If you don't change, you will perish in the next 20 years. Okay? Because you have seen most of the businesses have vanished from the landscape in the last 10 years' time. So one is convincing the top management, the leadership, that it is important. It is already there. Industry 4.0 is already happened. People are talking about 4.5 now. And with the 5G coming in, people will talk about industry 5.0. Okay. So that is one. Number two is the downline. Okay. The bottom line of the organization, which are the workmen. So there we will definitely have challenges. We have also faced challenges where after some time of age or at an age, people stop learning. Okay. Yeah. They have not gone through formal education for the last 30 years. Yeah. And suddenly you bring them into a classroom and start giving them heavy doses of, content from, a digital content, a digital environment, learning on the job, learning with robots, with tools and techniques. It is difficult. So it takes time. So I think that is again a change management process. But the challenge which you mentioned to answer your question is definitely one is challenging the status quo, challenging the mindset, convincing the top management, and making the bottom line, or rather the entry-level workmen, the people who are actually driving the organization, convince that this is the future. If you don't learn skills, you will not be able to sustain. And that has happened in the IT industry. You have seen IT industry keep doing that, very, very focused. Now they're talking about IoT and all. So reskilling is a typical exercise which happens in IT industry, even in manufacturing also. Someone who has gone through, let's say example, a machine working with a machine, suddenly you put in sensors
Yeah.
into that machine and talk about predictive maintenance and preventive monitoring and all, predictive monitoring and all. Then you have to train them. So acceptability is more important. Learning agility can be done. You can have techniques to bring in people, team bond, and bring them to learn. Agility can be developed. But I think the biggest challenge is the mindset and the culture change, which is I think the biggest work which any L&D manager should be working on.
Now actually this gives me a good background to from a macro level. I want to get a little down to micro level. I'm really curious, and I've always been curious about this question. What is a day in a life of Mayuk Dasgupta? What is a day in a life of somebody who is holding the mashal towards transitioning L&D into Industry 4.0?
So yeah, it's a good question. Of course, I don't have a standard 7 into 5 model, but yes, my first priority for a day is definitely I do my team meeting. Okay, I have my team, so which I do a meeting. I take a stock on what actually to be done. So there are routines and there are interventions which I work on, and I'm a man who believes in doing new things. I want to, always job craft my day so that I bring in new insights and new excitement, not only to me and also to the team. So, of course, one is the routines. You will have a training calendar typically for the month. There are sessions happening, there are programs happening online, offline, and then you are working on some new innovations, new initiatives. Of course, like the one we work with you guys for the P2P Connect. Similarly, we have initiatives. Currently, there's a bot getting implemented for our L&D function also. So such things takes my time. So I think I balance it into a 50-50. So 50% of my time goes on the planning the routine and the executing the existing operations. Number one. Number two, 50% of it goes on doing new things, and which I take pride on, and I really love to do that. So bringing in new innovations, bringing in new technologies, bringing in new projects for the L&D function is one thing which I work on. And 20%, if you ask me, around substantial time of mine also goes in understanding what is happening in the world.
Yeah.
In the world of L&D, not only L&D, across diverse time. So I do a lot of reading and of course do a lot of research when I have time. I'm not a man to sit idle. I will definitely figure out in the laptop or read some interesting articles, some books. So that's the way I balance my day. And of course, I give some time to my family also, so my kid, so my child and all. So those things also goes in. So that's a part of my routine.
Lovely. I want to take that one section of the day where you said that, there's a lot of research you like to keep abreast of all the developments happening in the world of L&D and industry. Talking from that perspective, what do you think can be a great short-term strategy? And I'm talking for not like, large organizations like Hindalco, but a lot of mid-level organizations where, they are looking up to companies like Hindalco to start emulating certain practices. What, according to you, can be a good short-term strategy and a long-term strategy for such companies where the L&D role is pretty much the ownership of the managing director itself, right? And you said that MSME are 70% of our economy. So what should be a short-term and a long-term strategy from an L&D perspective for these MSMEs for Industry 4.0?
So there are two ways to look at it, Omkar. First of all, I will strongly recommend don't follow the herd. Okay, that is one. Since everybody is implementing, IoT, everybody is implementing AI. I will also implement AI. That doesn't make the sense.
Correct.
Does your business need that? Number one, question that. Okay, number one, if your business need that, then understand at what level you are. Okay, you might still operate at a below the industry 4.0. Okay, it's okay. It's not a problem. I'll give you an example of a industry. For example, plastic molding. Okay, plastic molding today it's very much in demand, and there are a lot of industries there. Now I can bring in that. Okay, we will start with say 3D printing. But my question is that is 3D printing something which is really needed for the industry, for your industry? If it is not, then don't do that. Do something like a orientation. Do something like a generalization. You
Correct.
know, awareness creation. Go to seminars. Attend. Post COVID, there is a lot of things happening. Virtually, where you don't need to travel. You don't need to travel to Bombay
Yeah.
to attend a seminar, or don't need to come to all the way to Chennai to attend a seminar. You can do it virtually. Attend, understand what is happening in your industry, and then from there pick up things which can be implemented easily for your industry. So as a short-term goal, understand what is needed for your industry. Don't follow the herd. Don't jump on the bandwagon just
Yeah.
to say that, okay, I am also doing. That is not justifiable. That is
Yeah.
number one. Number two, in the long term, find out industry, find out the technologies which is needed for you. Next 10 years, what is happening to your industry? How your landscape is changing, how the manufacturing is slowly, how your suppliers are behaving, how your clients are behaving. What
Correct.
are their demands? Accordingly, you change your style. Then accordingly you implement. You might implement robot, RPA at a immediate basis, because that will save you a lot of cost and that will increase your productivity. If that is the need, then don't take the whole step of doing the AI and then machine learning and then IoT. No, you pick one and implement. If 3D printing is the game changer in your industry and you want to take the benefit of it, then start with 3D printing. Don't follow the herd and don't get into things which will not be relevant for you. Because I think most of the people don't understand that. They jump into the bandwagon saying, I am also implementing, AI.
Yeah.
But when we say what is the benefit you are going to do, how AI is going to benefit you in the next 10 years or 5 years, they are clueless. They say they have not measured it. So I think that's one
Doctor.
word of advice from my end
Got
to industry.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so, we're talking about, we mentioned a lot of industries, a lot of technologies, right? And now,
Yeah.
irrespective of the size of the organization, if you were an investment banker, which was specifically in the domain of L&D for big organizations, or manufacturing organizations, which three technologies would you put your money on? These are the three technologies which will grow, and these are the three technologies which will phenomenally increase the skill capabilities of all the workforce in the manufacturing space.
So yes, I think I will not say that these are the only three. There are so many,
Yeah.
but yes, today for L&D typically, or the organization, because L&D will do something when organization needs it, right? If
Yeah.
you implement a technology, then the role of L&D comes to assimilate that knowledge and ensure that learning happens across. So I think importantly, AI is definitely game changer, no doubt on it. Artificial intelligence will take off a lot of significant amount of work. Doesn't mean that people will lose job. No, there will be some amount of loss of job, but I think that can be managed by reskilling people. So AI is one, if you talk about. Second, in manufacturing, RPA, robotic process automation, is a very, very important game changer. A lot of routine, lot of process driven, repetitive work, routines will go off because of RPA. In fact, let me tell you, in my organization, I have implemented RPA for L&D. By the way, we have 18 processes for scheduling a training event, online also, offline also, which goes through our Aditya Birla Group's LMS called Ganodaya,
Yeah.
Virtual Campus (GVC), and then we have a LMS system which we use for long, called CSOD, which is an American firm, Cornerstone on Demand. So there are 17 processes. So when I schedule a meeting, I have to go through 17 processes which has to be manually entered. Today, with the help of the bot, that can be done in 15 minutes.
Right.
And that can be repeatedly done. Okay? Repeatedly done. So those are examples. So AI definitely one. Number two, RPA will become a big game changer in the whole of manufacturing industry per se. And second is IoT. IoT will also be a connected device. That's the future. Connected device is the future. Today, it will increase your machine life cycle also. Today, if you are having a machine and predictive maintenance becomes easy, operating it becomes easy. You come to know much early than the machine is getting breakdown. The sensors are there. So IoT is the third one, which definitely will make a big difference to a manufacturing industry per se.
Got
That's it.
Perfect. I just want to have one last question out
Yeah.
at the end of this really illustrious, insightful conversation. And you're in the business of skills. You're in the business of developing skills. What skills are you looking to develop at the shop floor, at the managerial level of the shop floor, and also at the corporate level? Like whenever I see a manufacturing company, I end up looking at these three levels. So any one particular skill I can guess what you want to develop at the corporate level, but at all these three levels, what kind of skills do you want to develop?
Okay, so I believe in another. We also strongly follow the 70-20-10 principle.
Mhm.
We believe that 70% of the learning happens, on the ground,
Yeah.
on the job, hands-on.
Yeah.
10-20% will be with the peer learning, peer network, experiential sharing, and all, either from the bosses or from the supervisors and the colleagues. 10% is only classroom training. Okay. So although I say that we do a lot of classroom sessions also, we do a lot of virtual sessions. The three skills, as you have mentioned, for the managerial level, the supervisors and managerial, I think the biggest skill is to unlearn and learn. Okay, so change management skill is very important. Number two is collaboration. Okay, because here you will not know all things. It is not possible for individual to know all things. You have to collaborate with cross-functional department and department. So, example, if I'm working in a operations, I have to have a cross-functional with my other functions, maintenance, safety, etc., etc. So that is one collaboration skill. Number third is management of skills, multitasking. There will be specialized also. There can be specialization requirement, but multitasking, because at a time a person will have to manage a lot of things together. Okay. Functionally, if you ask me, um, data is the future. Okay. So as a manager, I need to know data. I need to understand how to analyze data. That comes call for analytics. Okay, data analytics. Of course, not to a very advanced, but at least to know, to see a report which the sensor is reading, that I have to analyze and take decision. Okay, predictive maintenance. When the report comes to me, I will know these are the 5 parameters, and based on those parameters, I need to take the call. Machine will not take the call for me. Okay, so here data analysis skills is very important. Reading data, interpreting data, and taking prescriptive and decision.
Yeah.
Prescribing decisions, prescribing solutions is the skill for the future. At the ground level, if you talk about for the workmen and the operators who are actually doing hands-on, data analysis skills is also required. Okay, till now it was like taking the spanner, hitting it on the pump, hearing the sound and tell ki isme there is a problem. Okay, I think the motor's rubber, the tape, the ribbon is not working properly. Okay, that's the way tacit knowledge was built, because the operator working for last 40 years in the plant, he will hear the sound of the machine and tell you what is the problem. While an engineer will come, he will open and he will do the entire diagnostic. Then he will go through the manual and then he will say, there is a problem, call the OEM. OEM, your plant is quite not in vicinity of a city, so the OEM will visit you after 2 to 3 days.
Yeah.
So that's the way. So data, now that comes as a data. Okay, so data analysis, some analytic skills is important for at that level also, at operator level. Number 2 is communication skill. Okay, communicating effectively. Communicating with colleagues, communicating with your managers, and also communicating with the machine. When I say communicating with the machine means, I mean to say that, reading the data, understanding what is it communicating to you. What does it, what analysis is telling you about the machine. So, those are the skills which are very important. And of course, learning skill, unlearning and relearning, ability to change, and behavioral aspects of skills definitely goes hand in hand. That is no compromise there.
Perfect. I think I think this was super insightful. I'm really glad that you showed lights on such important topic. Thank you so much for sharing your wisdom, your experience of over 2 decades, and how you are envisaging Hindalco's entry, your own entry as an L&D leader into Industry 4.0. So thank you so much for taking out the time today and evangelizing best practices amongst the L&D fraternity.
Thank you so much, Omkar. It was a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.